Good morning. My name is James Little, and my company is Mass Spec Interpretation Services. Wiley has recently introduced new mass spectrometry techniques in their KnowItAll software suite. This suite is a vendor-neutral data processing solution for spectral analyses supporting NMR, mass spec, infrared, and others. Today I will be presenting a talk entitled Making User Library Using PubChem and MS Interpreter. Other videos and associated handouts can be found on my personal website. Other skills will be needed by the user, and they can be found in previous videos and handouts on KnowItAll on my website. These videos include Process It for obtaining an EI spectrum from a GCMS file, Search It, Mine It for searching a mass spectrum, and tips for drawing structures using Chem Window. In addition, internet links to my free course on using NIST MS Interpreter can be found in the associated handout for this video. Another useful reference on databases can be found in the quick reference guide shown below, prepared by O. David Sparkman. Now we need to go to the KnowItAll software and go to the Mine It Create Database function by clicking on the icon on the left. I like to go in and set up my preferences for this before I create my database, and I'm going to take the formula that I'll add and the nominal mass from the Wiley preference list. You could add others, but these are the ones that I will use in mine. And then you have to go up and create a new database, and we'll just call it user, and the data abbreviation will be user. And I think this data abbreviation is what is shown when you do the search and get the search results, and I think it can be up to 7 characters, but it should be shorter. The database name could be longer. Let's go and browse, and we'll put it somewhere that you'll know where it is. I suggest you don't put it within the Wiley framework of their structures, because if they load the software again, then you might lose something. So we'll save that. And also notice that I did create on the local system and say OK. And now it opens up our database to be populated. We'll now go to spectral processing on the left bottom corner. Open that, go to Process It, and I've already opened a data file and done a foreground and a background subtraction to get the desired spectrum of the component that I want to enter into my library in the bottom pane. I go up to the top to the Transfer To ribbon, move over to the Mine It database, and we'll keep everything except the name. We'll take the mass spec technique it suggested and say OK. And now we've populated, as you can see below, the spectrum into the library entry. Now the next thing we'll do is we'll go up to the little button up here that looks like an M and an S, and that's Transfer to MS Interpreter. That's a NIST program. We'll transfer it, and it brings, you notice, the structure in, and it brings the spectrum. And pretty much it interprets the mass spectrum for you. Everything that is in black, it knows what it is. And then when you click on that black ion, let's say that 159 ion there, I clicked on it, you'll go up and see it knows the molecular formula, it knows what it calculated for it, and it shows you that's the part of the molecule that goes with your spectrum. You can also see it tells you the isotope ratios here too, because this has chlorine on it. It'll have a specific isotope ratio. If you go out to the molecular ion, you'll see it's also matches really well. So that's another proof that you have what you want. Anything that's in white, it does not know. And anything that's yellow might be somewhat of a more complicated mechanism, which something had to rearrange with loss of 2 bonds somehow. So if you want to learn more about MS Interpreter, it's a very good program and has much more functionality than I have shown you in this brief description of it. You can go to my handout that has a link to my website where I've given a free course on MS Interpreter and its use in confirming structures. So let's go up to the top of the screen and close up MS Interpreter. Now let's do some more modification of the entry. If you go up here, you'll notice you can also go to PubChem. So let's click on the PubChem icon. You noticed it searched by structure and brought up its own structures, structure 1 and structure 2, but I really like the format better of mine, so I'm going to select mine to keep instead of theirs. I'm going up, I don't have a name. I like their name. Okay, so we'll use their name. The other thing is that I would really like to have maybe some of the synonyms. So I'll pick a couple of those, some that I like. Now I'll go to the bottom of the window and say, OK. When mine it comes back up, you'll notice the parameters, the names, etc. that I wanted have been inputted into the record over on the right side here. But one thing that's missing that I find very important in a user library is a comment about the origin of the material. So to get that, I'll go over to the end of the entry here where there's nothing, and I'll right-click and say Add a Column. So let's see if there's a predefined tag. So I typed in COM, see if I can find comment or comments. Let's go with comment, and we'll say OK. So now I've got my column, and I've got the comment I want, so I can just double left-click on comment. It brings up that property field, and I can put in whatever I want. We'll say this is a component commonly utilized in BPA polymer synthesis at Acme Polymer Company. Plant material 893, James Little, September 2022. Things that people should find interesting if they get this as a search hit. So I say OK. And now you can see that I have my comment included as an extra field. So now let's add another entry to our library. So I'll go up to the top here to the little pull down menu, and I'll go back and get me another spectrum and process it. So I'm going to this bottom bar where it says average range bar, and I'm getting in it so my icon shows that I'm within the bar. I like the windows okay. I'll narrow it a little bit. It's kind of wide around the peak. Catch the tail, and then I'll take some of my chemical noise correction in front of it. I'll do some in back of it. And now I have another spectrum in this bottom window. I go up to the transfer ribbon and say take it to mine it. It'll come up and say, how would you like to import the spectrum? I don't want to replace it, so I'll add it as a new record and say, OK. I think, again, we'll let the name go. And then I go back, again, to the little down arrow up here, so I can go back. I want to get to Chem window, which I do. I'm going up to the pointer and select it so I can send what I want. This is the structure I propose it to be. And I go and I say up to the transfer ribbon and say transfer that to the database. And I say yes. So we've got everything we need. We can repeat the process with MS Interpreter. Again, the majority of it's in black. If you clicked on it, it would explain substructural elements that supported the structure. The only ones it doesn't know are the ones in white. And the ones that I said were in yellow are probably some type of more complex rearrangement. So we'll go up and close this window. Everything looks good to enter it. It looks like it's been interpreted well. We'll go out to PubChem and get the names and whatever we want to, and then type in the comment. We'll just take a look at it real quick. So you got a bunch to pick from. I'm going to keep my structure. I'll pick the name. I'll pick a couple of these common names for synonyms and say OK. We'll go over to the comment and say another impurity, etc. Just to get something in the box. And now we have 2 entries in our library. What you need to do, though, to make the library work most efficiently is come up here to it says database, and we're going to compact the database. That just kind of cleans things up and makes it faster to search if you had a bigger database. So I'll just say compact. I'll take all the common ones that it suggests. Those are fine. And it's done. So the database is all ready to go now. So let's test it now. I'm going to go back to Process It. I'm going to go to the Process It window. This time, instead of sending that to Mine It, I'm going to left click on the bottom one, go up to the Transfer ribbon up here and have Search It. And say Start a New Search. Okay, put it in. Here's the spectrum in this search parameter list. I'm going to do a common search, nothing there special. Again, look at my previous video to see how to set it up, but I do need to set up the library. So I go User Select. You can see it knows where my user entry was put, that I have one. So I just say User and say, I'd done this before, so I'll just remove what I had down there, but I'll come up and find it. And you have to go to this, bring down the menu for User, not Reference. The reference would be the Wiley ones, but if you make that active, then you have to search through there, find User, and say Add. So we've got it. Say Search, and you can see that was the best hit. My name, I didn't get it over from PubChem, but you get the idea. It does work. It searched my two libraries. It found it as the best hit. So pretty much we've created a library and we've validated that it works. So in conclusion, I hope this video will be useful to you in making user libraries for yourself using these handy tools PubChem and NIST MS Interpreter. Note, there's a series of other training videos and handouts for KnowItAll mass spectrometry software on my personal website. Good day.